SG 14, Krishna Samhita and Other Works. Krishna Samhita and Other Works. In 1880, while residing in Narail, the Thakura published Krishna Samhita. This book received high critical acclaim, even from European scholars like Dr. Reinhold Rost, a great Oriental scholar of the day and a famous linguist. He wrote from London on April 16, 1880, "A long and painful illness has prevented me from thanking you earlier for the kind present of your Sri Krishna Samhita. By representing Krishna's character and his worship in a more sublime and transcendent light than has hitherto been accustomed to regard him in, you have rendered an essential service to your co-religionists, and no one would have taken more delight in your work than my departed friend Goldsticker, the sincerest and most zealous advocate the Hindus ever had in Europe." The Thakura also mentions receiving a letter some years later from the famous American transcendentalist, Ralph Waldo Emerson, whose works he had earlier studied. The Thakura had felt inspired to send the famous philosopher a copy of his book and got the following response. May 10, 1886, Concord, Massachusetts. Dear Sir, I have received with pleasure the book you so kindly sent me. I am sorry that I do not know the language and cannot read it and can only send my thanks. R. Waldo Emerson. The Krishna Samhita contained an 83-page introduction in Bengali prose in which Bhakti Vinod Thakura discussed the philosophy and development of Indian religion from both the historical and geographical perspectives. The Samhita portion comprised 281 Sanskrit verses divided into 10 chapters, which discussed the spiritual world, the energies of God, Krishna's pastimes, his incarnations, Krishna as the original personality of Godhead, and the confidential associates of the Lord. Accompanying the Sanskrit verses were the Thakura's Bengali prose translations and explanations. Concluding the book was a 43-page resume in which he presented the philosophy of Krishna consciousness in terms of Sambhya and Abhidhaya and Prayojana, just as he had done in his Bhagavat lecture, which exactly followed Krishna Dasa Kavi Raja Goswami's presentation of Bhagavata philosophy in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Jiva Goswami's presentation in the Sayandyabhas. In 1880 the Thakura also published a small book of songs, called Kalayanaka Lpa Taru, the desire tree of auspiciousness, which describes spiritual life from the beginning stages up to the highest levels of transcendence. It seems clear from the extremely elevated sentiments expressed by the Thakura therein that his pure devotion had fully manifested at this stage of his life. The book is organized into 3 major branches. 1. Upadesha Adviche. In this section the Thakura describes in 19 songs the various unarthas, unwanted things, that can deviate the practitioner from pure devotional service, beginning with the unartha that brought the soul into this world, lust. He exposes all of the impediments in order to prepare the reader for the next stage. 2. Upalabdhi attainment. This section describes how one must attain, assimilate, realize and apply all of the advice in the first section, and it is further divided into 3 divisions. I. Unutapare paintanche due to genuine realization. II. Nirveda data humane from material temptations. III. Sambhya and Abhidhaya Prayojana Vijnana. Realization in knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme, realization of practical action in accordance with that relationship, and realization of the ultimate goal of life. 3. Uchvasa spiritual emotion. This section describes the ecstatic sentiments of a self-realized soul and is divided into 4 sections. I. Prayers offered by a pure soul in transcendental humility. II. Prayers which express hankering for devotional service. III. Confession of the mind with pleading and petition to the Lord. IV. Songs of worship and praise which describe the name, form, qualities and pastimes of the Lord, as well as the devotional mellows exchanged with the Lord. At the end of the book, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakura falters in his description, feeling apprehensive about describing the intimate exchanges of a pure soul with the Lord. He takes this feeling of hesitancy as an indication from Krishna that such things should not be described to those lacking sufficient advancement to appreciate them, and he ends his songbook there. This book was very well received and very popular, and one of the Thakura's biographers correctly states, "It may very truly be termed an immortal work and stands on the same level as the divine writings of Narodama Dasa Thakura." The Thakura reports in his autobiography that the songbook was received with affection. while in Narail the Thakur also started his great monthly Vaishnava journal, Sajana which was written in Bengali and was meant to educate the learned and influential men of Bengal about the sublime nature of Lord Chaitanya's mission and teachings. 17 volumes were published over the years, which included many articles by the Thakur, and after his departure, his son, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, took up the work and printed it in several languages, including an English edition called De Harmonies.